Hi, my name is Judy. Welcome to Go With Yin Yoga. Today I have an approximately 30-minute Yin Yoga practice to get into our mind, to push the edges in our mind, and also to strengthen our posterior chain, your hamstring, your glutes, the whole back, your low back, all of that. You're going to need, well, actually, props are optional today. I'm going to suggest one block, perhaps, and a couple of blankets. I'm definitely going to suggest a couple of blankets, unless you have maybe a couple of mats that you can put side by side. You'll see why later. And once you've gathered up those props, go ahead and come into an easy seated position. Sitting up a little bit. If you're on your mat, take a couple of those blankets, take the block, sit up so that your hips are higher than your knees to make it more comfortable for you. If you are sitting on a chair, well, I don't think you'd be sitting on a chair, but if you are, you would come to the end of the chair and have your feet on the floor. If it's comfortable for you, I'd like you to close your eyes. If it's not comfortable, just go ahead and close them partially. Let's begin with some cleansing breaths. I will demo that for you, and then I'm going to talk a little bit while you are breathing. Cleansing breaths are very simple. It's just an inhalation through the nose, and then sighing it all out through your mouth. Just letting it all go. And do that a few times, and then I'm going to cue you to just begin to breathe normally. So inhale through your nose, sigh it out through your mouth. And as you are doing that a few times, I'd like to talk a little bit more about this practice. In Yin Yoga, we are always trying to find our edge, and that can be difficult. I have a whole month of practices focused around your edge in the month of August 2022. This particular practice is focused on your mind, connecting mind with body. And if you're still doing your cleansing breaths, take one more, keep your eyes closed, and just breathe normally. This particular practice focuses on the spleen meridian. When the spleen meridian is out of balance, or the spleen itself is out of balance, we tend to worry more. My guess is a lot of us have a spleen that is out of balance these days. And as you're just breathing and beginning to let go of whatever came before you sat down on your mat, I'd just like to read you this quote from Joel Kramer. In order to be sure that yoga does not become mere calisthenics, there must be a certain quality of awareness, of mind. Without this, there is no yoga. The focal point is not the gaining of any ends or results, but rather the quality of awareness in doing. So I'd really like you to keep that in mind, pun intended, as we are going through this simple but very effective Yin Yoga practice. If you are sitting up on a couple of blankets or a block, go ahead and remove it now, as I am going to. And put that off to the side. Although, if you have trouble in child's pose, one of my little tips for you, we're coming into child's pose, wide-legged child's pose. So take your knees out as wide as your mat, and then you can sit your hips back on your heels, and you can always take the block and put it between your ankles, and just like that. And that just raises the mat a little bit, and it makes it a little easier on your knees very often. And another little really quick tip is to take one of the blankets and put it between your thighs, and your calves. Okay. So take your knees out as wide as the mat or as wide it feels comfortable to you. Sit your hips back onto your heels and then just simply begin to walk your body down to your mat, letting your head come down onto the mat. You may actually like to take one of those blocks and put it underneath your forehead, just like this. And because this particular practice is so focused on our mind, about connecting our mind and our body, I'm going to go ahead and have my forehead on the block. This also helps to stimulate our vagus nerve, which basically runs down almost the entire front of our torso. And that helps us to calm down. And I do have an affirmation to offer you today. As always, you are free to take your own affirmation. What I offer for you today is, I allow my mind and body to connect. I allow my mind and body to connect. As you continue to stay in this shape, I want you to think about what your mind has been telling you. Maybe your mind is telling you, I don't like this, this is uncomfortable. Maybe your mind is telling you, this is a long time in one pose. Or perhaps your mind is telling you, don't understand why we have to stay so still. I really want to move. So just notice what arises for you. And just think a little bit about what the mind is telling you. And try and decide, is this true? Is this not true? Is there something I need to change in my body to get my mind to shut up? One last minute in this pose. The last couple breaths. And walk your hands back towards your body, press into your palms, and slowly bring your torso upright. Move your block off to the side and come up into a tabletop position. When we hold poses like that, our blood, our prana can become stagnant, and sometimes it feels good to move a little bit in between poses. So that might be a little hip circling like this. It might be just moving your body around a little bit back and forth, just whatever you need to do, whatever feels right in your body before we move on to the next pose. I am going to suggest that you have a couple of blocks handy if you brought them out with you. I'm also going to suggest that you grab one of those blankets or towels if you brought those out with you. I'm going to face the camera so you can see what I'm doing. You can face the short end of your mat and just come to the edge of that blanket. Same idea of sitting up at the block, which you are also welcome to do. Just raising the hips up makes it more comfortable to sit for longer amounts of time. Bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees fall out to either side. Now, I know for a lot of people, you may not have this much flexibility in your hips. So if your hips are way up here, first of all, very, very normal. Remember, I have been practicing in yoga for quite some time. And take your blocks and put them underneath, about the knees, thigh area, and experiment with what height works for you. So you can put them at the highest height. That might feel right for your body. You can put them at the medium height, or the lowest height rather, really. And I'm going to go ahead and do that today, because we're going to be in this pose, butterfly, for about 5 minutes, and that is a long time. And so remember your affirmation. I allow my mind and my body to connect. And for the first minute or so, I'd like you to have a straight back. So you're sitting with the feet together, knees are open out to the side, and your spine is as straight as you can make it in this pose, in this shape. And perhaps close down your eyes. And dip your chin just a little bit so that your neck is in line with the spine. And breathe in and out through your nose. And maybe you want your hands around your ankles. That may be more comfortable for you. If you just can't get your hands to your feet anyway, you can take a strap and wrap it around your feet and hold on to a strap. Sorry, I didn't cue you to get a strap, but that's another possibility. Because remember the quote I read you in the beginning of this practice. It isn't about the shape. It isn't about how far you go. It is about what your mind is doing. It is about feeling into your body, not my body, your body, and giving it what it needs and what it wants. Now that you've been in this pose for some amount of time, perhaps you're ready to go to your next edge, to go a little deeper in. Begin to let the spine relax and round, and the head fall down towards the knees. And let the head be really heavy, pointing right down to your mat, to the earth. Think about letting all that worry just pour out of the top of your head and into the earth. knowing that the earth is always going to support you. Maybe the chin dips a little bit more, maybe it comes onto your chest. Just let go of that worry. And let go of that voice in your mind that is telling you, I can't do what she's doing. I'm never going to be any better at this. I'm no good. None of those things are true. You are going to your edge. And the more you visit that edge, the deeper that edge will be. Now, last few minutes here, notice if you're gripping anywhere in your body. Notice if you feel tension anywhere in your body. Maybe you've gone a little bit past that edge. Maybe you need to back out of the pose a little bit. And maybe you just have to bring your attention back to letting your muscles relax as much as possible. Last couple breaths here. And if you feel rounded your back, go ahead and walk your hands back towards your body, beginning to bring yourself upright. Take your hands underneath your knees and slowly bring them to point up towards the sky or ceiling. Take your blocks off to one side. If you're sitting on a blanket or a block, remove that, bring that off to one side. And if you're not already facing the short end of your mat, come to face it. Slowly bring your back onto the mat and heel toe your legs out as wide as your mat. Let the knees fall into touch. And if they don't touch, that's perfectly okay. We've just spent a good few minutes really letting those hips open up, so sometimes it's nice to let them go the other way. And then slowly begin to bring those heels together. Move your hips over to the back of your mat. Let your knees fall towards the front of the mat. And slowly begin to bring your hands to the mat as you slowly push yourself up. And go ahead and face the long end of your mat. You will need to be facing that way for your next pose. And take your blankets. Again, you may need to adjust these once we get into the pose. And take your blankets out so that your legs are not extending onto a hard floor or a hard earth, whatever, a hard surface. That's the word I'm looking for. I am going to sit up on a block. This is not an area where I am super open. And then just stretch one leg out to the side and the other leg out to the side. So both feet are pointing away from each other. They're pointing to both short ends of your mat. And this is Dragonfly. I find butterfly pose to be very comfortable, and I find Dragonfly to be a challenge for my body. Let's come back to our affirmation, which is, I allow my mind and body to connect. Because when we do, good things happen. When we do, we begin to pay attention, not just in our yoga practice, off the mat as well. And we start asking questions like, what does my body really want? Maybe that's, what does my body want to eat? What's going to make my body happy? Not my emotions, but my body. Things like that. Okay. We'll remain here for a few more minutes in silence. Maybe closing your eyes down. Let your spine lengthen up. Back of the neck is long. Chin may be slightly tucked. Feeling very heavy through the sit bones, feeling grounded, feeling supported. And perhaps go ahead and bring your hands out in front of you, walk them out in front of your body a bit more. You'll probably feel some tension in the back of your legs if you do, and perhaps in your lower back. And that's not a bad thing, as long as it's tension, not pain. And maybe you're much further down, closer to your mat, to the earth than I am, and maybe you're still sitting straight up. It's all good. Perhaps you'd like to walk your hands a little further away from your body, making sure you're not holding on with your muscles as you do, making sure there's no pain, no tingling or numbness, no shooting pain, no stabbing pain, nothing that ends in pain. And go ahead and release the head. And let the spine round slightly if you'd like. You can also keep it straight. It's up to you. Last couple of breaths here. And slowly begin to walk your hands back towards your body. Go ahead and begin to bend the left knee and bring it in, and then the right knee and bring it in. Take them out a little wider than your hips, and just go ahead and windshield wiper those legs, letting the knees fall from one side to the other. It's kind of like wringing out a sponge, so that you can allow blood and lymph and prana to come back into those hips, where maybe things have just stagnated for a little while as we were holding. And go ahead and come off the block if you're on it. If you have some blocks, I'm going to suggest that you go ahead and take them under your knees. You can also go ahead and take the blankets if you have them and put them on top of the blocks to soften it a little bit. And then slowly become down to your elbows. And let the hands fall near the hips, slightly away from the body. Palms can be up or down. Coming into Shavasana, letting our mind and our body connect in Shavasana. Integrating this practice, I allow my mind and my body to connect. And I invite you to close your eyes down here if that's comfortable for you. I am going to sit back up so I can hold space for you. And I do have another quote from Joel Kramer that I'd like to share with you before you go too deeply into Shavasana. The I will let you know when it's time to come out and cue you through that. If you approach your yoga as a way of tuning into body, our mind, and mind feedback system, the body and mind feedback system, you can very quickly learn to be your own teacher. Teachers come and go, but fundamentally, one is always with oneself. And the quote goes on to say a little later, take what you can from my presentation to open up doors for your own inner exploration. Begin to deepen your breath. Slowly coming back into your body. Start to take any movements that feel right for you. That might be wiggling your toes and your fingers. Could be moving your head up and down, side to side. Maybe you need to move the legs a little bit. And on your next inhale, inhale your arms up above your head, giving yourself a nice stretch, maybe wiggling from side to side. And as you bring your arms down, slowly bring one knee into your chest, keeping the eyes closed if they are, and then the other knee. Gently let yourself fall to either side of the mat, stretching your bottom arm along the mat and placing your head on top of it. Take a few deep breaths here. Maybe returning to the cleansing breaths that we used in the beginning, breathing in through the nose and sighing out through the mouth, or maybe just in and out through the nose. See what feels right in your body. Your next inhale, just let that go. Breathing normally, keeping the eyes closed. Bring both hands to the mat and slowly begin to press your body upright. Coming into a comfortable seated position, perhaps sitting back up on a blanket or a block. Inhale, bring the palms of the hands together in front of your heart. Really pressing together, and then begin to rub them a little bit. Bringing awareness back from the mind and into the body. Coming to stillness in front of your heart. And bowing your head over your hands and slowly beginning to blink your eyes open, taking in the mat and the rest of the room, raising your head, hopefully with a smile on your face. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I really hope that you enjoyed this practice, that connecting your mind with your body during your yoga practice is something you'll be thinking about going forward if you haven't thought about it already. Keeping a journal by yourself during a yoga practice can be a really great practice for writing down what comes up emotionally, thoughts, and in your body too. If you like this video, go ahead and click the like button, please. I appreciate it. You can always subscribe to find out when new videos are added to this channel. And underneath in the description box, there is a link to my weekly newsletter, which is relatively short, and that will also let you know when new videos have been added. Let your worries go, put a smile on your face, and enjoy the rest of your day.